The Philadelphia Eagles are gearing up for a huge Week 4 clash. And fans, this one feels big. The energy around this team, right now, electric. And there's one massive reason to feel even better heading into this game. Lane Johnson is back. After leaving the matchup against the Rams with that scary neck stinger, the status of Lane Johnson had every Eagles fan holding their breath. But today, full participant in practice. That's not just good news. That's season-shifting, offense-stabilizing, locker-room pumping news. Because when Lane is out there, this Eagles offense is different. And not just a little bit. We're talking night and day. You know, people throw around terms like generational talent a little too casually these days. But when it comes to Lane Johnson, that title barely does him justice. He's not just the best right tackle in football. He might be the most important non-quarterback in the league when it comes to a team's offensive success. The numbers prove it. With Lane on the field, the Eagles are an absurd 105-55-1 all-time. Without him, just 15-23. That's a swing you simply can't ignore. Since 2016 alone, their win percentage jumps to nearly 70% when Lane suits up. And when he doesn't, they drop off a cliff. But here's the thing. His impact still goes under the radar because of the position he plays. Offensive tackle doesn't light up the highlight reels. It's not flashy, but anyone who's watched this team closely knows that Lane Johnson is a rock. And when he's missing, it shows fast. Remember last week? He went down against the Rams, and Matt Pryor came in. What happened next? 3 straight drives, -9 yards. Not 0, not a couple of punts. -9 yards. The offense was completely stuck. The Rams racked up over 200 yards in the first half alone. The Eagles? Barely 30. It wasn't until Fred Johnson came in that things somewhat stabilized. But let's be honest, Fred isn't Lane. Nobody is. And it's not just the coaches or analysts saying it. Listen to the guys in that locker room. Nick Sirianni has been around a ton of players in his career. He called Lane the best player I've ever been around. Cam Jurgens didn't hold back either. He said Lane Johnson is the best defensive lineman to ever put on an Eagles uniform. Period. Now, why does this matter so much right now? Because the Eagles are about to face a Buccaneers team that knows exactly how to mess with Jalen Hurts. Todd Bowles has always found a way to rattle this Eagles offense. In fact, Hurts and Sirianni are just 1-4 all-time against the Bucs. Bowles brings pressure. Tampa Bay blitzes at one of the highest rates in the league, and that puts a massive strain on the offensive line. If you don't have Lane Johnson holding down that right side, it gets ugly quick. Last year in Week 4, Lane didn't play. The result? A brutal 33-6 loss. And we all remember the fallout from that game. It was bad. The difference when Lane is in? Measurable. We're talking sack rate, time to throw, total protection. Without Lane, the Eagles allow sacks on 8% of their dropbacks, and the average time to throw drops to under 2.9 seconds. When Lane is on the field, the sack rate drops to 6.5%, and the quarterback gets almost a tenth of a second longer to throw. That may not sound like much, but in NFL terms, that's the difference between a clean pocket and a strip sack. It's also worth pointing out how much Lane Johnson has done to evolve himself over the years. Yeah, we all remember the PED suspension from back in the day, but the guy came back stronger mentally and physically. He's been in the league since 2013, and somehow he's in better shape now than he was as a rookie. At 6'6" and 325 pounds, he's moving like a tight end and walking around with a six-pack. That's just not normal. That's dedication, professionalism, and a level of athletic freakishness that puts him in a class of his own. So yes, Eagles fans should be fired up to have Lane Johnson back. This game against Tampa is going to be a war in the trenches, and with Lane anchoring that line, the Birds are in a much better position to handle Bowles' aggressive schemes. And the good news doesn't stop there. 2 key pieces on the defensive side are trending in the right direction too. Jair Brown, who's been nursing that triceps injury, was back at practice today, wearing a brace, but participating. Zach Bond, too. He went from a bulky knee brace on Wednesday to just a compression sleeve today. That's progress. And while neither confirmed they'll suit up on Sunday, these limited practice reps are a great sign heading into the weekend. Now, let me throw something out there. Are we already looking at one of the best inside linebacker duos in the entire NFL with Bond and Campbell? I know it's still early, but what we've seen so far, man, it's special. And what's even more impressive is how quickly it's all coming together. We're not just talking about promise or flashes. We're seeing consistent high-level play week in, week out. Both guys bring that modern, hybrid linebacker skill set. They can cover. They can blitz. They can set the edge. They can shoot gaps. They don't come off the field, and they're making impact plays across every single statistical category. For Jadur Campbell, the rookie out of Alabama, who somehow fell to pick number 31, he's been nothing short of sensational. Through the first 3 weeks, he's not only held his own, he's graded out as the highest-rated rookie defender in the NFL according to Pro Football Focus. Let's put that into perspective. Week 1, 4th highest-graded rookie defender. Week 2, 4th again. Week 3, number 1. And if you zoom out and look at the overall body of work so far, Campbell is the top dog among all rookie defenders. That's not just hype, that's production. And then there's Bond. What a transformation he's undergone since joining the Eagles. He came into the league as more of a pure edge rusher, but now he's a complete linebacker. His development has been unreal. Right now, he's standing shoulder to shoulder with guys like Fred Warner, and that's not an exaggeration. Bond's start to the 2025 season has been elite. Against the Rams, he was a one-man wrecking crew. Pressure, tackles, and that key interception of Matthew Stafford on the opening drive that set up the Hurts tush-push touchdown, that was Bond setting the tone. Here's what makes him so unique. Since the start of the 2024 season, he's the only player in the entire league with over 150 combined tackles, more than 12 tackles for loss, and multiple interceptions. That's versatility. That's dominance. That's impact. Want the numbers? Let's talk Pro Football Focus grades. Campbell's overall grade? 11th out of 123 linebackers, 84.6. His coverage grade? A ridiculous 90.1. That's 5th best in the NFL. And his run defense? 72. He's 34th there, but he's still climbing. And maybe most impressive? He hasn't missed a single tackle yet. That kind of consistency is rare for a veteran, let alone a rookie. Now flip it over to Bond. Overall grade, 88.8, 6th best in the league. Coverage, 80.7, top 10. Run defense, 71.3. Pass rush, number 1 at his position with a jaw-dropping 92. That's what happens when you put an elite athlete in a scheme that knows how to use him. Having both these guys patrolling the middle of the field gives the Eagles a dynamic element most defenses can only dream of. They can erase tight ends, sniff out screens, stuff the run, and collapse the pocket. It's a nightmare for offensive coordinators and a dream for Philly fans. And with all that in mind, Sunday's game can't come fast enough. The stakes are high. The juices are flowing. It's time to beat the Bucs, and if you believe the Birds are about to handle business, smash that like button. If you've got a different take, hit the comments and tell us why. Let's see who really knows ball. And while we're talking about what gives Philly the edge heading into this matchup, let's shift our focus to something that could seriously tilt the game: the Buccaneers' health situation. Because even though they're getting back one of their biggest names, they're also dealing with some serious problems across the roster, especially in the secondary, where the Eagles could absolutely take advantage. Let's start with Chris Godwin. The guy's a stud, no question about it. Last year, before that brutal ankle injury, Godwin was on pace for a monster season. 50 catches, 576 yards, and 5 touchdowns in just 7 games. Then came the injury, and it wasn't pretty. One of those replays that made everyone cringe. He hasn't played since, but all signs now point to him returning this weekend, which will give Tampa Bay a much-needed boost, especially with Mike Evans officially ruled out. That's big. Godwin and Evans, when both healthy, form one of the most dangerous wide receiver duos in the league. But with only one of them suiting up, the dynamic changes. It's still a threat, of course, especially with the Eagles' own issues at cornerback, but it's a threat the Birds can manage, especially if they bring pressure and force quick throws. Now, here's where things get really interesting. The Eagles' secondary is banged up, and depending on how the injury report shakes out, we could see some real shuffling in that defensive backfield. Adoree Jackson is dealing with a groin injury. He was limited in practice on Thursday, which puts his status in doubt. Jacorian Bennett is another concern. He's been playing through a pec injury he picked up in Week 1 against Dallas, tried to tough it out, but re-aggravated it against the Rams. He's now officially out, which leaves Philly shorthanded. So who steps in? Get ready to hear names like Khalil Ringo, Mekhi Garner, maybe even Perry Nickerson or Eli Ricks. Ricks is still on the practice squad for now, but if Jackson can't go, there's a good chance he gets elevated to the active roster. That group is talented, no doubt, but inexperienced, and that's something Baker Mayfield will try to exploit. But let's be clear, this isn't the same Eagles defense from early 2024. This group has found its rhythm. They're fast, they're physical, and most importantly, they're smart. You're seeing guys fly to the ball, play within the scheme, and most importantly, execute. And a huge reason for that is the front seven finally clicking. The pass rush is heating up, and when that happens, it makes life a whole lot easier for the guys in coverage. Speaking of the trenches, we got more injury news from the Bucs side. Tristan Wirfs, one of the best defensive tackles in football, is expected to be back in the lineup after undergoing a knee procedure late in the summer. He's been a full participant in practice this week, and Tampa desperately needs him. At one point this offseason, they were looking at opening the year down 3 projected starters on the offensive line. With Wirfs back, it's still not perfect. They're missing 2 guys, but it's better than the disaster it could have been. Still, even with Wirfs, the Eagles' defensive line is a different animal. And without Nolan Smith available this week, guys like Hasten Reddick, Josh Sweat, and Jordan Davis are going to need to step up. This game is going to be decided at the line of scrimmage. If the Birds can disrupt the timing of Tampa's passing game, get Mayfield off his spot, collapse the pocket, make him uncomfortable, that's how they win this game. Pressure is the name of the game. And with Lane Johnson back protecting Hurts on the other side, it really does feel like the Eagles can finally break through this Buccaneers wall. Let's also talk about one very underrated factor in all of this, the history between these teams under Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. Because it hasn't been good. They're 1-4 all-time against the Bucs. Every time they've faced off, it's been a struggle. But here's the twist. In every single one of those 4 losses, A.J. Brown didn't play. Not one snap. That's a huge detail people overlook. The only time Brown has suited up against Tampa in the Hurts-Sirianni era? Last season, Week 3. What happened? Eagles win. Not just a win, a statement. 25-11, total control. And A.J., he went off. 9 catches, 131 yards. He carved up that secondary. And that was before the collapse late in the year. That was peak Eagles, clicking on all cylinders, balanced on both sides of the ball. So yeah, context matters. Everyone remembers the blowout loss to Tampa in Week 4 last year. The 33-6 beatdown that sent Philly into the bye week in total disarray. Fans wanted Sirianni gone. People questioned Hurts. It was rough. But what did that team look like that day? Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The rumor mill in the NFL has been spinning wildly this week, and it seems Shadur Sanders has just poured gasoline on the fire. The young quarterback sensation, whose name has been buzzing through draft circles and college football chatter alike, reportedly declared in no uncertain terms that he would never consider suiting up for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, you read that correctly. The Eagles, perennial contenders with a passionate fan base, might be facing the shock of their lives if this turns out to be more than just talk. Sources close to Sanders hint that the quarterback's comments weren't just offhand remarks. While he's still weighing his professional options, insiders suggest that the star is drawing very specific lines regarding team culture, offensive schemes, and perhaps most importantly, the media scrutiny that comes with a franchise like Philadelphia. In the crowded landscape of potential landing spots, the Eagles, despite their recent successes and Super Bowl pedigree, apparently do not fit the young signal caller's vision for his NFL future. Of course, every whisper in the league is amplified tenfold, and fans have already taken to social media to speculate what this means for both Sanders and the Eagles. Some are calling it a strategic power move. hinting that the quarterback is playing hard to get to maximize his leverage. Others worry that a refusal to even consider Philadelphia could ruffle feathers among teams eager to secure a high-profile rookie. Rumor has it that several front offices are quietly recalculating their draft boards, debating whether to risk courting a player who seems to have already drawn invisible red lines on certain franchises. What adds fuel to the fire is Sanders' family legacy and the hype surrounding him as a next-generation talent. Comparisons to his famous relatives in the sport are inevitable, and analysts suggest that his bold statements may be designed to shape not just his team choice, but also his personal brand. Whether this is an attempt to avoid distractions or simply a passionate declaration of loyalty to other potential suitors, the effect is the same. Philadelphia fans are now anxiously waiting for a twist in the story that could reshape draft day strategies across the league. For now, the rumor hangs in the air like the charged tension before a big game. Will Shadur Sanders stick to his word, or is this just another chapter in the high-stakes world of NFL speculation? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The Eagles may have just found themselves in the middle of a quarterback controversy before it even begins. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.